Thank you, Professor Rizzi, for inviting me. I'm going to talk about the cartography of Gude. It's a Chadic language spoken in Cameroon. This work describes and analyzes the structure of the left periphery in focalized constructions, interrogatives, topicalized structures in Gude. Constituent movements are attested in this language, the word order of which seems to be verb subject object, VSO. Theoretical frameworks deemed capable of accounting for this empirical material, variation, are anti-symmetry, Ken 1994, 1997, 2011, 2019, 2022, Ken and others, 2014, and cartography, of course. Rizzi, 1997, 2001, 2004, 2013. There are so many publications by Rizzi. Okay, but I'm sure you are familiar with them. That's why you are here. Ken indicates that movement accounts for the most part for word order variation. My work on Chadic languages such as Munyang, Massa, Musgum, Wandala Giziga has provided evidence that Ken's anti-symmetry frameworks apparently adequately shows that apparently radward movement in Chadic languages is in fact movement to the left periphery of the clause, along with heavy piping of the whole agreement phrase into spec force, adopting Rizzi's architecture of the clause, widely known as cartography. As the structure of Gude will be unveiled, the resources of cartography will be appealed to. Word order variation in Gude will be investigated on the basis of the following conjectures. All word order differences and all morpheme order differences are invariable to be attributed to movement differences. All word order differences are traceable back to movement differences. All morpheme order differences are traceable back to movement differences. Movement is also regulated and accounted for by cartography, most precisely by the criterial approach to scope discourse semantics. Rizzi devised a way of accounting for movement and determining movement triggers. A number of criteria and several criterial heads are the deranging forces behind question formation, topicalization, focalization, exclamativization, and so on and so forth. In a nutshell, Rizzi indicates that focus and topic movement are then brought to live to the view of movement. More precisely, movement must be triggered by the satisfaction of the criterial or feature checking in Chomsky terminology in general. He says that all instances of preposing to the left periphery must be triggered by the satisfaction of a criterion. The driving forces behind movement being the criterial heads, question, rel, fork, top, exclamation, these criterial heads are movement triggers. The scope discourse semantics criteria are equivalent to Chomsky feature checking approach. As I said earlier, Gude is an Afro-Asiatic and Bio-Mandara Chadic language spoken in Nigeria and in Cameroon. 20,000 people speak Gude in Cameroon. 70,000 people speak Gude in Nigeria. The Gude word order seems to be VSO, as shown in 1. 1, you should have that on the board. 1A, loves Buba Rukayatu. And when you get a negation marker, the negation marker will apparently take the place of the verb. Okay? It seems to be the case that negation and the verb are in complementary distribution. That is, when you have the verb, you don't have negation. When you have negation, you don't have the verb, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to talk about focalization. I'm not going to go over all of the examples. In this language, when a constituent is focalized, it is preceded by a focus marker. Call it a focus marker for the time being, because that might change later on. And the focus marker invariable in this language is ama. Next, we talk about verb movement and word order. So if you take the sentence that we have there on 2A, okay, let's assume that it is the basic sentence from which various movements will take place. You notice that the verb is fronted, followed by an aspectual morpheme. Descriptively, as you can see on 4A, the aspectual morpheme and the verb are fronted. That is, they occur before the subject. Let's go down faster. Okay, so you have on 5, the verb dara adjoins to aspects, okay, following what Abo and Diakonova called aspect licensing. And then we assume that the newly created unit, Kadara, is fronted and moves to force 0. Okay, that position is likely to change. Now let's talk about subject-verb inversion. In Gude, verb-subject inversion is allowed in root and an embedded context. Okay? That is why you have the word order verb, subject, object. So you have in 7A, 8B, the present tense followed by the verb occur before the grammatical subject. Now, the tree diagram there.
Move it to the right.
Okay, we should move it to the right. Or left. The bar at the bottom. Okay, let's see.
too big, but this one maybe. It's not so clear how that will move.
He's gone? The technician is gone?
Okay, now it's a little better. You see.
Oh yeah, it's much better. So the tree diagram shows that, as I said earlier, the verb moves to either to T or to V or to aspect. When it moves to aspect, it's for aspect licensing. When it moves to T, I presume that it is for tense licensing. The resulting unit is fronted. That is, it occurs before the grammatical subject. Now, right now I'm asking myself the question, what position does the resulting unit moves to? What position does the resulting unit moves to? So I presume that for the time being, the head of the resulting unit, the head of the maximal projection is x0. Okay? Assume that it is x0. Later on, we'll try to find out the exact denomination of that, the head of that maximal projection. And we say that that movement takes place in the main clause and in the embedded clause. Okay, in the main clause, in the clause preceding the complementizer, in the embedded clause, the clause following the complementizer. So, the word order, verb, subject, object can obtain in the main clause or in the embedded clause. Now, one tenet of cartography, one feature, one head. I'm not sure that it is Ken who say that, but I know that it's Chunque and Rizzi. I wonder why Rizzi's name is here. It should be Van Kenderbroek, whose name should be there, not Ken. Okay. Okay, so each morphosyntactic feature corresponds to an independent syntactic head with a slot in the functional hierarchy. The minimal structure of the force system in LAMSO, it's a language on which I worked, on which Paul Roger Basson is working now, is the one that I proposed there on 12. And I say that the force system of LAMSO contains a grand phrase. A grand phrase. I'm not the one who devised that maximal projection. People before me talked about it. Valentina Bianchi, is it Bianchi? Colloque and Cecilia Poletto, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is that when the verb raises to T, adjoins to T, or adjoins to aspect, the newly created unit moves to the head of grand phrase, grand zero. Grand zero. So what we have on 12 and 13 is an exemplification of the adjunction of the verb to T and the movement of the created unit to grand zero. Now let's talk about the derivation of focalization. We'll come back to verb movement later on. So in this case, it is the subject, the grammatical subject that is focalized. Chinava. And when it is focalized, it is preceded by what I call the focus marker. Okay, now, in this Rizzi system, the focalized constituent is going to occupy the specifier position of the foc phrase. So we ask the question, what we call the focalizer or the focus marker, what position does it going to occupy? Okay, so I propose that the focalizer or the focus marker is going to occupy the head position of the cleft phrase, because after all, that structure is a cleft. That is why you see that on 16 there, the head of cleft phrase is occupied by ama. And chinava, which is the subject, is focalized. It moves from the specifier position of agreement phrase to the specifier position of the focus phrase. In 17, it is, I think it is the direct object that is focalized. We are not going to focus so much on that. And then in 19, it is the PP that is focalized for his wife, and so on and so forth. And then is the modifier, yesterday, that is focalized in 21. Okay, in 24.
Edmond,
Yes?
can you please reduce the size of the display so that we can see the full diagrams?
Now, okay, Professor Rizzi is going to do it again.
Certainly not, but maybe somebody can guide me.
It's a little.
How do you reduce it?
Okay, here comes
There's
something.
somebody
Help is on
who
the
can
way.
do these things.
Yes.
It's very easy. It's a little thing. That's right.
German and Dutch. German and Dutch get along very well.
Yeah.
Yes?
That's perfect. It's perfect.
That's perfect. Okay, good.
Don't go too far.
Let's go faster. It's very So what we have is that verb movement can occur in the main clause as well as in the embedded clause, and focalization can occur in the main clause as well as in the main clause as well as in the embedded clause. We have to go a little bit faster because I was told that I have only 30 minutes. Now let's talk about the interrogative phrase in the position interrogative in Gude. In Gude, the lexical complementizer and the if-whether complementizer are in complementary distribution. Moreover, a focalized phrase cannot follow the yes-no question marker, ma. In Gude, ma means if or whether, so the focalized phrase cannot follow it. The same situation obtains in the following sentence whereby yesterday is focalized and cannot be preceded by ma, if whether, in 69. So let's go down. Let's go to 69. I'm not going to talk about the first phrase because There is nothing new there. In this language, you have 3 instances of the first phrase, but it's not so important. 69. Now we are 977. Now in 69, the modifier yesterday is focalized. That is why it's preceded by am, which means it's the focus phrase. And when a constituent is focalized, it cannot be followed by the question marker, the question complementizer, the indirect question complementizer, if and whether, right? It can only be followed by a lexical complementizer, as we can see in 69. Now let's talk about topicalization. When a constituent is topicalized, it can occur after the indirect question marker, ma. Okay? So let's go to 72. 72. In 72, it's the it's a focalized constituent. But what we want to say that is that in 70A and in 70B, mota, 70B, well, yes, 70B, mota, which means car, is topicalized. And mota can occur after the indirect question complementizer, ma. Okay? So, which means that topicalization behaves differently from focalization. Now let's talk about the interrogative phrase in main clauses. Okay, so if you look at 75, Nasuru will marry Balkisu. You see that once again, the tense marker preceded the tense marker and the verb precede the grammatical subject. But now, the question, will Nasuru marry Balkisu? Will Nasuru marry Balkisu? What we have there is the tense marker, ka, followed by a question marker, na, and the question marker na is followed by the verb. So we ask the question, how is 75B derived? How is 75B derived? Will Nasuru marry Balkisu? Okay? We endeavor to answer the question by looking at the 3 representations, 76. 76. So in 76, what we have is that the verb adjoins to the tense marker ne, and then the verb plus the tense marker raises to grand phrase, and we also have the tense marker of the main clause, ka, that raises to, in this case, I presume that it refers to first phrase. It is only a presumption. I presume that it refers to first phrase. So, summarizing, the verb adjoins to T, okay, T plus the verb raised to grand phrase. The tense marker of the main phrase, the main clause raises to first zero. So that is how I presume that sentence 75B is derived. Will Nasuru marry Balkishu? Will Nasuru marry Balkishu? What we have in 77 is the same kind of derivation. And in 80, we have the interrogative phrase in embedded context. Arisu wonders whether Nasuru will marry Balkisu. Arisu wonders whether Nasuru will marry Balkisu. That is 80A. And 80B, Arisu wonders whether Nasuru will marry Balkisu. Now, in 80B, the indirect question marker complementizer ma is whether. The future tense and the verb marry precede the grammatical subject. But notice that in 80A, whether the indirect complementizer, whether is absent. The indirect complementizer, whether is absent. That's because we have the mood marker, na, in the embedded clause. That is, the mood marker function exactly like the indirect question complementizer. But they are in complementary distribution. You cannot have both. If you have a mood marker, you cannot have the indirect question complementizer, and so on and so forth. In 80A, you have the mood marker, and therefore you don't have the indirect question complementizer. In 80B, you have the indirect question complementizer ma, and therefore you don't have a mood marker. Okay. So these two elements are in complementary distribution in this language. Next, we talk about the modifier phrase. It's not what we are interested in is finding out what happens when you have the indirect question complementizer ma, and when you have a modifier phrase like slowly, followed by a focalized constituent. Okay, what happens in this language? You can have the indirect question complementizer ma, followed by a topic. In this case, the modifier is topicalized, and followed by a focus constituent. Okay, so in this language, you can have a variety of positions after the indirect question complementizer ma. Similarly, in 93, you have the modifier that is focalized. The modifier is focalized slowly. It is focalized. And when it is focalized, it occupies the specifier position of the folk phrase. And said above, the focus marker is going to occupy the cleft 0 position. Okay. Next, we talk about the proliferation of topics in Gude. In this language, you can have 2 or more topics, whereas in English you cannot have so many topics in English, I think. But in Gude, you can have 2 or more topics. So, 95A, Arisu married Rukayatu in the mosque yesterday. Okay, so you have Rukayatu in the mosque yesterday, Arisu married. So you can have several constituents that are topicalized. In some languages, it is impossible. That's one of the differences between Gude and some other languages. Now let's talk about the cohabitation between topic and focus in Gude. It is possible to have a focus and a topic at the left periphery in Gude. Okay, so you have, it is Rukayatu, that's the focus constituent. In the mosque, that's the topic that Arisu married yesterday. So it is possible to have, it is not possible. It is not possible to have 2 4C in the left periphery in Gude. You cannot have 2 4C in the left periphery in Gude. Well, I mean, you cannot have extracted 4C, because in some Bantu languages, you can have an extracted focus and a focus in situ. But you cannot have 2 extracted 4C in the same clause. It's impossible. But in some Bantu languages, you can have, it is John who will marry Mary, and Mary is focused in situ, and John is ex situ focused. In this language, you cannot have 2 extracted 4C in the left periphery in Gude. It's impossible. Can you have a topic and a WH phrase? A topic can cross over a WH item in Gude. A topic can cross over a WH item in Gude. Now, this seems to violate featured relativized minimality, but at the same time, it does not, because a topic is not a WH phrase. All right, so there is no violation of featural relativized minimality. Let's talk about topicalization. In this language, since the verb must always precede the subject, right? That is why we have seek. Seek is an adjective, and is a copula, and Aisha is the grammatical subject. So we have Aisha is sick. Okay? So 114 is the tree representation of 114 B, where the adjective as adjoined to the verb, in that case it becomes a predicate adjective, and then the predicate adjective followed by the copula raises to grand phrase, grand, the head of grand phrase, and Aisha is the specifier position of agreement phrase. All right. It is not surprising that a predicate adjective will adjoin to a verb. Okay? So many people have worked on that before. Now I need to. This is work in progress. It's not something that I wrote just for the Professor Rizzi's colloquium. I'm working on Chadic languages, and I'm not yet done with this paper. It's something in progress. In fact, when I started working on Gude, I wanted to compare Gude to Italian. Because when Professor Rizzi wrote the paper on Italian with your student, Bocci, Giovanni Bocci. Yeah, okay. Giuliano Bocci. I said, okay, how can we compare Gude to Italian, right? And in fact, you could have guessed that Gude is a little bit different from Italian with respect to the behavior of focus and topic, right? These two elements do not behave alike the way they behave in Italian. Okay. And in the structure of the left periphery in Italian is not like the structure of the left periphery in Gude. So this work is in progress. It is not yet, that is why you see that my handout is not yet ready. So thank you very much.